Coming up on this edition of iState News, join us at the M Shop to meet a special open mic night performer. And hit the dance floor at Super Prom, a unique charity event in Ames. With Mackenzie Vogt and Jeremiah Davis, Jonathan Harris with weather, and Johnnie Jindrich with sports. iState News starts now.
Welcome to the March 1st edition of iState News. I'm Mackenzie Vogt.
And I'm Jeremiah Davis.
The Iowa State campus welcomed a special guest earlier today. A crowd of over 700 people filled Howe Hall to welcome Vice President Joe Biden. Former Iowa Governor and current U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack introduced the Vice President to Iowa State. Biden spoke about the President Obama's recent proposal to help create manufacturing jobs in the U.S. The Vice President addressed the need to strengthen and reestablish our industries and the middle class of the United States. Biden acknowledged that the agriculture leads the way in America, but manufacturing is growing, and it starts at schools like Iowa State. He said that the United States is in a better position right now than any other country. Biden and Vilsack also answered questions from the audience.
Listen up, college students. President Leaf of Iowa State University says one of his biggest priorities is reducing the debt of graduating students. Leaf told the Ames Tribune that he plans on building strong relationships with the Iowa legislature. Building trust is important to Leaf in the next few months before the state's budget cuts are established. Leaf said that Iowa State student leadership are very serious and focused on class size and the issue of student debt.
Iowa State Police found a small marijuana growing operation at an Iowa State University dorm room on Tuesday. Officers said, quote, they found a computer with a light coming from inside when they investigated. They found 3 lights and a marijuana plant, end quote. Both Nicholas Sudoku and Noah Bergman were charged with Class D felonies, which are punishable by 5 years imprisonment. Bergman and Sakadu were held in the Story County Jail. Bergman has been released, and Sakadu is still being held on $16,000 bond.
The M Shop recently welcomed a special addition to its talented open mic night lineup. Mackenzie Vogt and Nicole Gustafson have more.
Open Mic Night had a special guest Tuesday night at the M Shop. Brandon Explicit Thornton travels all over the country sharing his spoken word poems with others.
Times I've seen people cry while I was on stage, and they come afterwards and tell me I've seen a lot of people say that they can relate. One big word that I hear a lot is I can relate to what you're saying. My poetry is very down to earth, and I'm really, I want to touch people where they are. Like tonight I have a poem about college life. And I think, a lot of people can definitely feel where I'm coming from with that.
FYI, ST rates on campus is skyrocketing. Protect your lifestyle with a Magnum. Shout out to all the Magnum Cum Laude students who read ahead, start projects early.
I would say a lot comes from my own personal experiences. I take a lot of what people say. I'm a big Twitter person, right? So I actually have a Twitter poem that I do, and it's just things that I read. Like recently I read Men's Health magazine, and that has a lot of good information in there, but a lot of it's just from personal experiences.
Other acts brave enough to step up to the mic were rappers, guitarists, stand-up comedians, and poets. Almost everyone wrote their own material.
Nightcrawler, you go up first. I'll meet you up there.
So use all 5 senses to smell the richness of a hug, see the warmth of a smile.
I've got 3 songs and 1 in the works. So as far as my own stuff, and I cover a lot of stuff.
Knowledge is priceless. Ignorance is expensive. Not knowing is the easiest way to stop.
For iState News with Mackenzie Vogt, I'm Nicole Gustafson.
I ain't trying to be pretentious, more like progressive.
Open Mic Night happens most Tuesday evenings at the M Shop. Sign up and admission are free.
Tensions flared yesterday at the Iowa State Capitol. Democrats staged a walkout after the Iowa House approved 2 gun bills. The walkout ceased all action for 6 hours. The first bill would allow people to use deadly force for protection. The second bill will have to be approved by another legislature next year. The bill calls for gun rights protections to be added in the Iowa Constitution. The Republicans currently hold a 6-40 advantage over the Iowa House. The Democrats return to the Capitol to debate the passing of the two bills.
A meth lab explosion left a Dubuque apartment building damaged early Wednesday. Authorities said a bathroom in a building at Loras College was ruined due to a large blast. The police said the drug is made quickly in a shake-and-bake method in a 2-liter soda bottle. The sprinkler system was activated and the culprit fled the scene by the time the emergency crews arrived.
Google is implementing a new privacy policy that has Iowa officials doubting the safety of its consumers. The new privacy policy will allow Google products to synchronize a computer's user data in order to suggest relevant products. Iowa Attorney General Tom Miller says that the privacy invades consumers' privacy and makes them susceptible to identity theft. Iowa State Professor of Information Technology Brian Menenick said the new policy and the user's cost of doing business with Google. Menenick said users must be careful to what they put on the internet, regardless of Google's new privacy policy.
400 more people in Iowa could be facing unemployment next year. Tyson Fresh Meats said it Thursday that it's, quote, considering closing its Denison, Iowa plant in 2013, end quote. Tyson wants extra money for its renovations to his plant in Dakota City. These new updates mean Tyson would no longer need supplemental beef from the small Denison plant. Tyson will provide employees with 60 days' notice if it decides to close the plant.
Sioux City Public Schools made a controversial decision to show up a movie about child bullying. The Bullying Project is a documentary that contains foul language and graphic material, but is used as an educational tool for students. Even through parts of the documentary were filmed in Sioux City Elementary. The film won't be shown to students due to the graphic material and lengths of the film. The Motion Picture Association of America has voted to uphold the documentary's R rating, even though it will prevent students from seeing it.
This past weekend, there was a unique opportunity to support local charities here in Ames. Katie Longnecker, Jen Hakey, and Alyssa Weiss went to the Super Prom to bring us the story.
Have you ever wanted to recreate your high school prom? Or do you just want to have a good time while helping out a good cause? Well, 5 years ago, Betsy Parker and her husband made this possible for the Ames community.
A big party. My husband and I had gotten married and had our reception at Hickory Hall. We kind of wanted to have that feel of that big party again. So we decided to throw this prom for all of our friends. And when it was all said and done, the money that we had collected from everybody was in excess to what we actually needed to throw the event. And so we decided to turn it into a charity event.
This year's proceeds benefited Animal Lifeline of Iowa and Food at First.
We have also donated to the Ames Animal Shelter. We donated to a couple of different family homeless shelters. We've done the Iowa chapter of the American Cancer Society. And so far we've been able to donate roughly $11,000 to $12,000 total.
Hundreds of people come out to Hickory Hall each year dressed to impress in themed costumes. For Ed Moran, his experience at prom last year made the 2012 Super Prom a night he couldn't miss.
This is my second prom. Last year was Mardi Gras, and we had a fantastic time. I brought a small group of people. This year I brought a huge entourage. We're all super heroed out, I guess. And it's all goes for a great cause. We're helping animals in central Iowa and helping all different types of organizations, so it's always a fantastic time to come out and see what everyone gets involved.
For $20, anyone who is at least 18 can attend the annual adult prom and enjoy everything the night has to offer.
We have prom punch while supplies last, but it goes really fast. We also have Jollish Photography doing posed photos, so people can come and get their $5 5x7 photo to show their mom what a good time they had at prom. We have the Euro stand set up outside. People can go out and get their grub on after they've been partying for a while. We have a great band, the Q's. They play out of Des Moines, and they're mostly a cover band. And then just lots of dancing and fun and crazy night.
For iState News with Jen Hickey and Katie Longnecker, I'm Alyssa Weiss.
The U.S. Olympic swim team will be wearing a piece of Iowa State when they travel to London this summer. ISU kinesiology professor Rick Sharp helped design the swimsuit that the U.S. team will wear in the 2012 Olympics. The Iowa State swim team is currently testing the suits. The Fat Skin 3 suit fits so tightly that the special gloves are required to get it on. Coming up after the break, the video of an F4 tornado that struck the Midwest this week.
Don't go anywhere. You're watching Iowa State News.
Turn over this log. Yeah. Whoa! I like the big black ones. I like the brown wiggly ones.
I like the green crunchy ones myself.
Whoa.
Get out and explore nature. There's surprises everywhere. Go to discovertheforest.org.
Anyone up for dessert?
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today. Learn how at ready.gov.
Today, we gather to recognize the selfless decision of one of the most influential women of our time. The woman who, after having one too many drinks, chose not to drive home buzzed. Here today to honor Rachel is the family whose lives she spared.
Following the death of 4 American soldiers last week, 2 more soldiers were shot early this morning in Kabul, Afghanistan. The Afghan soldier and accomplice released fire, killing a tower guard, a soldier, and injuring 4 more soldiers in the barricades where they were sleeping. The 2 suspects filed, but American air support shot them down a mile from the base.
Democrats and Republicans in the Senate are getting ready to vote on whether or not to amend the mandated contraceptive section of the president's health care law. The amendment would allow employers to decide if they want to cover the cost of contraceptives for female employees. The current requirement states that employers must cover the cost of contraceptives to female employees. Republicans say Obama's requirement forces some organizations to cover contraception even though their faith forbids it.
Nothing marks the end of a horrible vacation like returning home. After 3 days drifting without power from the Costa Alegre reached safely from the passengers and staff unharmed. The ship had been towed to the docks of Seychelles after the ship has lost all power after the fire and erupt on Monday of the engine room. Investigators were waiting at Victoria Port when the ship docked to question the crew.
A case of bullying went way too far in Kansas City on Tuesday. Police say 2 teenagers poured gasoline on a 13-year-old boy and set him on fire as he walked home from school. The boy managed to put the fire out and was taken to a local children's hospital where he spent several hours in the burn unit.
A plane crash leaves 3 dead when it's attempted to land late last night. The single-engine plane nosedived off the runway at Melbourne International Airport. Rescue crews searched the woods for an hour before discovering the wreckage and could not identify the plane because the tail number was damaged. The Federal Aviation Administration and the National Transportation Safety Board are still investigating the scene. The identities of the victims have not been released.
A new study is revealing that a daily dose of a Parkinson's drug could improve function in people with severe brain injuries. Between 50,000 and 100,000 Americans live in partial consciousness and around 15,000 in a vegetative state. Experts say that it is not a cure, but, quote, the improvements were modest, but the progress was meaningful, end quote.
An Indianapolis man has been charged as guilty as 3 child abuse charges after forcing the grandsons to hike up the Grand Canyon. Grandfather, 40-year-old Christopher Allen Carlson, told the three boys they were overweight and said hiking would get them in shape. The boys testified that they were kicked and choked while going without food and water on the hike. Carlson is scheduled to be sentenced in June 1st.
People may not be preferring snow on the ground, but they would prefer that to wreckage. Starting Tuesday night, an F4 tornado struck with 170-mile-an-hour winds through the Midwest, hitting southern Illinois and Missouri. At least 9 people are dead after the storm subsided Wednesday morning. Up to 325 businesses were damaged or destroyed. The tornado resembles a small percent of February tornadoes on record that have reached F4 or higher.
A forward email to his colleagues have shown a United States judge in a different light. The chief federal judge from Montana, Richard Siebel, forwarded a racist email about Barack Obama that compared him to a dog. The judges explained that he did not intend to send it as a racial comment, but as an anti-Obama comment. If the chief judge determines it as the compliment has merit, the Montana judge could be investigated.
One of 2 teenage students stabbed at a Chicago public school has died, police said. The stabbing occurred Thursday morning inside the front door of the city's Goldsmith Public School. Authorities had to rush the teens to a hospital, according to police. An 18-year-old student had been listed in critical condition, and a 17-year-old student was listed in serious condition. According to police, one of the students had died but did not say which. A 17-year-old suspect is in police custody.
More than a dozen people have been prosecuted for illegally selling 51 human kidneys in China. The organ trafficking rings helped customers find illegal organs by paying more than 20 young, poor men to sell their kidneys to patients suffering from kidney disease. Police busted the ring after December after leaders moved the operation to Belgium to prevent spoiling. A shortage of donated organs in China is the main motive for the illegal practice. And now we have John at the desk with us. What does this weekend have in store?
Well, after Old Man Winter gave us a run for our money the last couple days, the weekend is looking a lot better. Stay tuned to after the break, and I'll give you the full rundown. You're watching iState News.
Nice work.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today. Learn how at ready.gov.
We can all be energy savers. It's easy. Turn off lights. Use energy-saving light bulbs. And turn off electronics and appliances when not in use. Make a change and we can really fly. Learn more at energy.gov/kids.
For more simple ways to fight the flu, visit www.flu.gov.
Welcome back to iState News. I'm Jonathan Harris with your weather. Now, as we look at the current conditions right now, we're looking at the wonderful town of Ames sitting at 32 degrees, partially cloudy, with a slight wind coming from the north. Now, as we look over the gorgeous state of Iowa, we're looking at partially cloudy all across the state. Temperatures ranging between 30 and 45 degrees, but staying at 31 here in Ames. And as we look at our 24-hour planner, look at conditions for tonight. We're still looking at partially cloudy with a low of 24 degrees. It's going to be a decent night to head to the library to do some last term, midterm cramming, or if you're doing a little adventurous, maybe you can head out and have yourself a good time. And as we're looking at tomorrow, tomorrow is going to be a beautiful day with a high of 50 degrees. A great way to start your weekend. Now as we move ahead, and looking into our 24-hour day planner, tonight we're going to reach a low of 28, 30 degrees by 8 a.m., and 3 p.m. 49 degrees at 3 p.m. As we look at our extended forecast, Thursday we're looking at 50 degrees today. Friday we're looking at 39. Saturday 37 with a low of 25. And as we head into Sunday, we're looking at 40 degrees, partly cloudy in the skies, and a low of 37. And finally Monday, we're looking at a beautiful day at 51 with partly clouds.
Thanks, Jonathan. I got to say, I'm pretty excited about the upcoming weekend.
It's shaping up to be a great weekend. Stay tuned for sports with Johnnie Jindrich. You're watching Iowa State News.
ISU TV is a student-run television station that provides student-generated content for Mediacom Channel 18. Production and filming of shows takes place at Studio B in the Communications Building. Shows range from news, sports, comedy, weather, to talk show formats.
There's so many different things outside of just journalism and broadcasting that you can do it at ISU TV. If you want to be a writer, you can write. If you want to be on TV, you can do that. We work with equipment. If you want to do anything as far as multimedia is related, you have so many different options.
Anytime during the semester, they're welcome to get involved with any of the shows that ISU TV puts on air, and they're going to get trained by their peers. If they don't feel comfortable doing that, they can take any of our classes, writing classes, production classes. They can do packages and do the entire thing from A to Z.
To find out how you can get involved with ISU TV, visit our website at isutv.stuorg.iastate.edu.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at energysavers.gov.
Separate raw meats from other foods by using different cutting boards. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back. I'm Johnnie Jindrich with sports. It must have seemed like deja vu for Fred Hoiberg and the Cyclone men's basketball team last night in Columbia. When Iowa State and Mizzou met back in January, the Cyclones couldn't hold on to their halftime lead. That again was the case last night. The Cyclones held a 4-point lead at halftime, but the Tigers' speed and home court advantage led the seventh-ranked Mizzou to an 87-72 victory. Mizzou had 5 players score in double figures, led by Michael Dixon, who scored 21 points. Royce White scored 20 points, grabbed 6 rebounds, and dished out 9 assists for Iowa State. The Cyclones kept it close in the second half, but a 9-0 Missouri run propelled the Tigers to victory. The loss drops Iowa State to 21-9 overall and 11-6 in the Big 12. The Cyclones will host 9th-ranked Baylor on Saturday for senior night. A win on Saturday for Iowa State would earn them the number 3 seed in the Big 12 tournament. The Cyclones will honor its 2 seniors, Scott Christopherson and Chris Allen, after the game. Tip-off at Hilton is set for 6 p.m. And after a sluggish first half and only leading Kansas State by 4 at the break, ISU women flat out dominated in the second. The Cyclones outscored the Wildcats 36-16 in the second half and went on to win 57-33. Freshman Nikki Moody scored a game-high 15 points. Haley Christopherson dropped 14 points and grabbed a team-high 8 rebounds. Senior Lauren Mansfield went out with style, scoring 13 points in the Cyclone victory. These two teams will see each other next week down in Kansas City. With the win, the Cyclones clinched a spot in the 4 vs. 5 matchup against Kansas State in the Big 12 tournament. The Cyclones' strong defensive effort comes at a good time as the team heads to Waco, Texas on Saturday to battle undefeated Baylor. The regular season finale tips off at 11 a.m. And men's basketball coach Fred Hoiberg will be inducted into the 2012 National Federation of State High School Associations Hall of Fame. Hoiberg is one of 12 individuals selected to be honored for their outstanding achievements in high school athletics. He led the Ames High School team to the 1991 Iowa 4A boys basketball state title and was named captain of the all-tournament team after he shot 75% from the field. That's awesome. Hoiberg was also an all-state quarterback and placed in 2 events to help Ames land the 1991 4A state track title. Former Iowa State athletes Dan Gable and Gary Thompson have also been inducted into the NFHS Hall of Fame. And head football coach Paul Rhodes will be making $1.6 million in 2012. Rhodes' base salary will remain at $375,000 throughout the duration of his new 10-year contract. The additional $1.2 million will stem from public relations and endorsement activities, as well as equipment apparel contracts. And that's all I have for sports. Stay tuned. You're watching iState News.
So, you're looking for help with your mortgage. Worried about foreclosure? Messy stuff. We're a mortgage rescue company. We can help you keep your house. All we ask for in return is that you submit to our plans for galactic domination. We're not so different, you and I. Sign.
Yeah, this is not what we...
Have you met my henchman, Radu?
Nice to meet you.
Radu.
We're just we'll see you later.
If you're facing foreclosure, make sure you're talking to the right people. Speak with HUD-approved housing counselors free of charge at 888-995-HOPE.
You might see twigs and stick floating down a river, but how about 40 tons of pure steel? Tuesday, Londoners gathered to watch at the worldwide symbolic rings of the travel down the River Thames. Low bridges and high tides made a journey along the rough affair. The rings stand 25 meters wide and 13 meters high. The rings have been in assembly since January and can be seen in full glory this summer when the Olympic kicks off July 27th.
Davy Jones, the charming musician from the 60s boy band The Monkees, died Wednesday at the age of 66. A witness told authorities, quote, he began to complain of not feeling well and having trouble breathing, end quote. Jones was transported to a hospital in Indiantown, Florida, where he was pronounced dead after suffering from a heart attack. You may know Jones from the musical group's hit Daydream's Believer and making a guest appearance on an episode of The Brady Bunch.
Ever wished about being a celebrity? How about opening a bank account illegally as a celebrity? Ricardo Sergio Fierfero de Barros was arrested yesterday after he tried to open a bank account using a fake ID with a picture of Jack Nicholson. De Barros, 41, tried posing as a 74-year-old Oscar-winning American actor. A civil police in Recife, Brazil, claimed the man looking nothing like the actor for the picture on the ID.
Do you like being criticized while you're on your vacation? If you don't, then you might want to stay away from Epcot in Disney World. The interactive exhibit Habitat Heroes has been criticized for fat-shaming overweight children. Young participants fight villains representing junk food and laziness with heroes, willpower, and calisthenics at their side. The exhibition has been shut down temporarily.
Thanks for tuning in to iState News. Have a great weekend.